I? Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, August 18th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is the Hermit. This is going to feel very aligned to the feminine energy that we saw yesterday coming through in the cards. If you missed yesterday's reading, it is up on my YouTube channel. So specifically, there is a lot of care and consideration spent right now into finding moments of insight through solitude, taking this time and consideration to contemplate the steps forward as you proceed forward on this path. For masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, this is going to be helping you effectively navigate some of those feelings of emotional unsettling that we saw yesterday. As we discussed, masculine energy was going through a bit of an emotional influx yesterday, almost moving into spaces and places of distraction to help navigate away from some circumstances that they weren't necessarily sure on how to proceed upon at this moment. For feminine, we are seeing much the opposite is taking place. The feminine energy is in a space where they are conserving their energy. They are conserving their resources. They are pulling back a lot of their energy at this time through circumstances and situations that may be proving particularly difficult or trying, especially as it relates to partnership at this moment. Does not necessarily need to speak directly towards romantic partnerships, but any partnerships at play at this time in order to determine the best path forward for all parties involved. Now, masculine and feminine energy, this may be a day that you are doing a lot of this inward work or a lot of contemplation right now in terms of coming into a state of easement on some of those situations and circumstances in the partnership that we saw were in a point of being held yesterday, or in a point of stasis with that Ace of Wands in its transverse in union with our Lovers card that was also in its transverse. But let's see if we can continue to get some clarification on these cards as we continue forward from this point. Second card that we have coming through in our 5-card spread for today is 3 of Pentacles in its reversal. There's a lot of new ground that is being laid at this time. One of the things that we did note over the last few days was the fact that even in the partnerships that are working in union at this time, there is a lot of care and consideration about taking some different approaches to things, allowing some point of easement to come through to make things easier as you proceed forward from this point. Now, one of the things that we identified yesterday with the conclusion of our reading with that 10 of Cups energy is there's a lot of focus right now on the long-term path, on the long-term goals, even navigating away from any of the immediate difficulties and keeping that eye on the prize, if you will, in terms of those long-term manifestation aspects. This is requiring a bit of recalibration right now, laying the new groundwork that is going to allow for that easement as you proceed forward from this time. And a lot of this work could potentially be done in solitude right now, a lot of this internal contemplation. This could be a lot of consideration energy that you're paying as it relates to how you consider circumstances or situations, or what you are thinking about at this time, so that you can come towards things with that new approach energy that we've also been seeing in the cards, along with that Fool energy that we received just a few days ago. Now, center card for today's spread we are receiving is, we have here 8 of Wands in its reversal. One of the things that we're seeing that you're laying new groundwork as it relates to your circumstances and situations right now has to potentially do with any kind of planning hurdles or communication blockages. These are some of those same blockages that we saw coming through yesterday with that Ace of Wands in its transverse. There are situations and circumstances that you're neither not necessarily receiving the communication that you would ideally desire at this time, or that the communication is not necessarily consistent in the way that you would desire. This is potentially limiting or blocking your own ability to plan and coordinate at this time. But what we appreciate about this work right now is you're not necessarily using this as a hurdle so much as utilizing it to allow yourself to set these new foundations for yourself at this moment. For both masculine and feminine energy, what we're really identifying right now is this is taking a lot of internal research. It's taking a lot of that internal effort right now to find that path forward into a state of easement, but also needing to kind of disassemble some of the things that you are recognizing or articulating upon that you feel are creating the hurdles and blockages at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Thank you so much for the gift, Jay. We have the sun. And one of the things that we're seeing here is the fact that we are also maintaining a very optimistic or positive outlook as it relates to doing this work right now. This is not necessarily a place or space where you're letting yourself get bogged down. Instead, you are looking at the points of positivity. You are focusing on the positive movement forward that you're seeing at this time. You are bringing this level of positivity in. And in fact, some of this level of positivity that we're seeing that you're bringing into circumstances and situations present may potentially have to do with the fact that you are changing your outlook on things right now. You are changing your outlook on things right now by doing a lot of this internal work, focusing on your own vibration right now, focusing on how you are considering the circumstances and situations around you. And it is taking a bunch of new groundwork being laid at this time. Now, for partnerships that are in union, for masculine and feminine energy that is working in partnership right now, this could be doing a lot of that simultaneous work to overcome these hurdles and blockages, recognizing that you are simultaneously laying new ground, if you will, but having a very positive outlook as you do so. This is also requiring, though, some space or pace that where you may be finding that even while you are in solitude, you are aligned or needing to necessarily work through how to navigate the spaces and places that are creating solitude that isn't necessarily productive, but instead utilizing those points of solitude to create more connection points, even while you are not necessarily in partnership at this time. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in union or partnership at this moment, what we're really getting to do right now is see the fact that you are navigating a space or place where you yourself are focusing on that internal journey. You're keeping your positivity bright and looking towards those positive outcomes to help you address your own blockages internally at this time. Some of this could be doing a lot of self-assessment at this moment, recognizing your own hurdles, your own limitations as it relates to the path forward from this moment. Now, fifth card coming through for our 5-card spread for today is... we have here our King of Pentacles in its reversal. So a lot of care and consideration that is effectively being paid right now as it relates to masculine energy necessarily potentially feeling like they're coming from a point of instability at this time. What we're really identifying at this moment is this fact that for the masculine energy, something around these circumstances or situations are leaving them at a bit of a loss. We're seeing here that for the masculine, you will bear in mind that we saw the fact that there was a bit of an emotional overwhelm coming through yesterday as it relates to circumstances or situations that they may have been creating a space or place of distraction from at this moment. But what we're really identifying at this time is for the masculine energy, this is maintaining a positive outlook through some circumstances or situations that are allowing you or making you feel some point of instability at this time. This is also making you have a lot of care and consideration to communication at this moment, working towards productive communication that feels like it is consistent, that is going to allow that level or degree of consistency. And it is requiring you to have some different points of consideration as it relates to going forward at this time. This is a lot of energy that we're seeing that the masculine is potentially paying in solitude right now, taking these moments of consideration to really contemplate the spaces or places that are creating this feeling of instability within them, but all for the sake of laying a stronger foundation going forward that will allow for an easement in some of these communication hurdles and blockages. These are the same communication and hurdles and blockages that we identified yesterday that the masculine was experiencing. While for the feminine right now, this is that moment that feminine is working right now on their own internal experience, trying to get that level of positivity, trying to get that level of confidence right now, specifically around spaces and places where you may be feeling like you are laying new ground. You are assessing your own limits or degrees as it relates to planning and communication at this time. We saw this was heavily at play yesterday for the feminine energy, but there's also a lot of care and consideration towards the masculine energy that is around you at this time to try to assess whether they are coming from a space of stability, creating that sense of stability, or if they're creating more instability in terms of the way that they themselves are communicating at this moment. For masculine and feminine energy that is working in partnership at this time, masculine could be doing a lot of work right now with feminine to help get this insight in terms of helping them feel more stable, helping them feel more secure at this moment. While for feminine right now, this could be articulating some of your own needs and desires for that point of stability to be seen and reached. This is a lot of that energy that we identified yesterday that the feminine was seeking as it relates to the tangibility of the situations and circumstances around the masculine right now. Really focusing on the masculine energy that is showing that care and degree of putting practical application and emotionality towards some of the spaces and places that they are moving towards at this time. While for the masculine and feminine energy that are not in union, this is going to feel like a lot more of an internal journey. Masculine, you're going to be doing a lot of work today to assess those spaces and places that are causing these feelings of instability, to see if you can navigate some of these communication hurdles and lay new groundwork going forward. While for feminine right now, this is some of that same energy that we saw with trepidation as it relates to some of the masculine energy coming towards you at this time, trying to assess if you feel it is coming from a place of stability or if it is creating more instability for you at this moment. And all of this is going to be around the communication hurdles, the communication and clarity coming through that is going to lend you some point of positivity as you proceed forward from this point. Now let's see if we can get more clarification on these cards, if you will. Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit energy in combination with our Three of Pentacles. Not navigating right now spaces or places that are requiring some of this internal work. Allowing this to be a degree and capacity that you are giving yourself at this time to really assess where you need to lay new foundations at this time. And I need to warn that this could feel a little bit destabilizing, particularly for the masculine energy today, because we're seeing here that these are foundations that you are potentially taking down to build up anew at this time. Hence some of that feeling of instability at this moment, because you're laying new groundwork right now, masculine, and you're trying to maintain a positive outlook as you do so. While for feminine energy right now, this could be feeling like a lot more of that comprehensive internal work that we saw the feminine was doing at this time. Feminine energy, you will recall yesterday, was doing a lot of work in conserving their energy, calling back their energy to a certain degree as they try to navigate the clearest path forward at this time. And this is also requiring a feeling or sense of laying new groundwork at this time. But one of those points of difficulty for the feminine has to do with abilities to communicate and plan at this moment. Feminine energy is doing a lot of this internal work for themselves at this time to try to navigate these spaces and places that they can create better pathways for themselves at this moment, maintaining a very optimistic outlook as they proceed to do so, but with some anxiety and trepidation on the masculine energy's own ability to help them feel supported as they do so. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership right now, this could be a lot of conversation around this, trying to find ways for the masculine energy to be more supportive for the feminine as they navigate this journey. While for masculine, this could also be trying to articulate this. The problem is we see the fact that the communication hurdles are abounding today. So this could also be a bit of a problem point as we continue to go forward and do this work. Now, let's see if we can get more clarity on the cards that we're seeing right now. Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. So masculine and feminine energy right now taking a lot of this internal time for themselves, trying to lay the groundwork around spaces or places where they may have identified that they feel that there is something destable coming through right now. But we appreciate this because this is that opportunity where new groundwork can be established, but it is requiring some things to be taken down or reconsidered or recalibrated as you proceed forward from this point in order to navigate some of the hurdles and blockages that you're currently experiencing. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Justice in its reversal. There are some feelings of imbalance at this moment, or consideration in terms of what feels like it is coming through in a balanced way. For both masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of concentration and care that is being paid to this right now. And there may be a lot of analysis that's even happening in partnership energy at this time to really navigate and understand the challenges in those partnerships to allow for a greater sense of equality and ease going forward. This is taking a lot of internal work right now, a lot of internal consideration, and there may not necessarily be too much communication on it today as both masculine and feminine consider how to do that in the best way possible. This could be a lot of that internal work, but internal work to the most productive way and mean. For the masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnerships right now, this is a lot of internal assessment right now, looking at anything in your life right now that you feel is creating some level or degree degree of instability at this moment, but all for the care and desire of coming into something that feels like it is more equitable, or feeling like it is creating a better sense of balance for you at this time. And really recognizing even some moment or degree right now of experiencing or feeling some level of degree of unfairness as it relates to some of the circumstances around you at this point. But what we really appreciate about this is a journey inwards for both masculine and feminine as they proceed forward from this point. Now, let's continue to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Three of Pentacles in its reversal, in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. This is a lot of the blockage that we are identifying at this moment. But we will recognize that some of this blockage is because you are laying new groundwork here. There is a lot of consideration being paid right now to what you are creating for yourself at this moment, all for the degree of even allowing some point or degree of readjustment at this time, recognizing the spaces and places that are not necessarily creating that consistency or that productivity for you at this moment. This could have to do in a lot of different areas in your life right now. If this is bearing in mind communication, this is coming through communication hurdles as it relates to building stronger partnerships going forward. While if this has to do with your own life or your career right now, this is effectively doing a lot of that internal work right now to identify your own limitations so that you can move forward with a greater sense of easement. May I please have one card to clarify at this time? Clarification coming through right now with our Fool in its reversal. We were just talking about this card. It's back up again because what we're really identifying is happening here is this is doing a lot of that internal work right now to find that path forward, utilizing a sense of caution, a sense of care, a sense of observation, and even potentially feeling some hesitancy right now at this time to take some of these steps for yourself at this moment, for allowing yourself this degree of easement. But what we're really identifying at this moment is for both masculine and feminine energy, there is a desire to navigate forward from this point, but there's a lot of care and consideration that is being paid in terms of how you effectively navigate and do that. This is why we saw so much of that pause point yesterday, specifically for partnership energy in the realms of communication, because what we're really identifying at this time is it is not for a lack or desire to communicate. It is not for a lack of desire to move forward on plans. But what we're really identifying here is that sense of trepidation rising up. For masculine, we saw yesterday, a lot of this had to do with the fact that there was some anxiety coming into play as it relates to making sure that you would not say the wrong thing or articulate on something that you feel is going to make things worse instead of better. That's why we saw the masculine energy effectively distracting themselves to a certain point yesterday as they were trying to navigate or mitigate some of those unhealed karmic connections. While for feminine, we're seeing that this is just a moment that you are doing a lot of this internal work, going deeper within the self at this moment, coming into your spiritual alignment, grounding yourself at this time as you navigate these same hurdles. We do see that there is progress and movement here today, but it is being done with a lot of care and trepidation as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Sun card. What we appreciate about this right now is while there is a lot of identification that is being paid at this moment to circumstances and situations that you feel are limiting or blocking you in some capacity, you are maintaining a positive outlook as you proceed forward from this point. You're not looking backward so much. You are instead using this as a point of navigation to help steer you as you proceed forward from this point. Are identifying, doing this internal work right now to really get to the bottom or to the heart of what is creating these blockages, what is creating these hurdles. For masculine energy, this could be a lot of those emotional hurdles that we see that you've been encountering and facing right now. And it could be a little destabilizing as you do this work for yourself today, masculine, because we see that we are doing it at the same time as feeling some degree or effect of building a new foundation for yourself at this moment. So this is feeling like a lot of that stuck energy that we saw yesterday for the masculine having a bit of the personal impact on you in terms of how you're feeling right now around your own sense of stability at this moment. While for feminine energy right now, we see that this is more of that feminine energy going inwards right now, even in the face of circumstances or situations that they may feel are creating a bit of a challenge point at this time. A lot of addressing right now to communication and the consistency of that communication and the ability to plan right now going forward. Feminine energy is maintaining a point of positivity even in the face of masculine energy potentially not necessarily coming through as stable as they may desire at this time, or feeling like there is some ungroundedness around the feminine energy as well. Because what we see the feminine energy is doing right now is they're utilizing this as a point of catalyst. They're utilizing this as a point of their own internal journey to understand deeper the steps that they need to take for themselves at this moment that are going to help overcome these hurdles and challenges and lead them to brighter possibilities as they proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our star energy. And we love to see this because what we're really seeing right now is this is a sense of renewed confidence coming through right now for the feminine energy. Feminine energy is identifying the spaces or places where they feel that they're being seen, valued, recognized, appreciated. Feminine energy wants to be able to move forward in a point right now where they are able to be their most authentic expression of self and at the same time feel like they are being abundantly supported in that way. This is why we also see some of that high priestess energy that's rising up as well right now that we received yesterday. There is something here that can feel a little bit isolating on the feminine journey right now as you're experiencing this energy, because this is a lot of that internal movement inwards feminine that you are effectively bringing into circumstances and situations as you try to come into deeper sense of alignment within the self at this time. While for masculine right now, there could be a lot of care and attention that you are effectively paying towards a feminine energy that you feel is encapsulating or embodying the star energy. This is what is allowing you a certain care or degree of positivity at this moment, even as you yourself are feeling a point of instability at this time. Because what we're really seeing right now is the fact that you feel the presence of this energy around you. You're working in this capacity. You are feeling a point of optimism as it relates to trying to navigate or overcome any of the hurdles or setbacks and challenges at this time. Though for masculine energy right now, this could be feeling like you are trying to bring yourself into a state of optimism, but recognizing the fact that you're still feeling this presence of this energy to a certain degree. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is a lot of that collaborative work that we're seeing right now, because while the masculine energy may be feeling some setbacks or hurdles and challenges at this time, they are being supported or feeling the support of a feminine energy that is really standing in their power at this moment. This is potentially bringing that level or degree of positivity to the masculine right now, even through some of their own personal setbacks or challenges as it relates to planning and communication at this moment. While for feminine energy right now, this could be, that's in partnership, this could be a lot of energy and concentration that you are paying right now to build a sense of better easement for the masculine energy that is around you right now that is feeling this level or degree of instability at this time. Feminine energy is kind of coming through right now with this level of positivity, with almost bringing some of this positivity to the masculine energy, while also addressing their own needs at better communication or better planning. This could be mutual work that both energies are doing at this time. While for the masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnership at this moment, this could be feeling a little bit different, because what we're really seeing at this time is masculine energy is going through a point of feeling some sense of insecurity at this time, that there are some situations and circumstances that require a point of rebuilding. And while we did see that there was a bit of a pause happening right now in trying to deal with any difficulties as it relates to partnership at this moment, this is masculine energy trying to maintain a positive outlook even as they are experiencing some of these feelings or actively experiencing some of the hurdles and challenges in communication. While for feminine energy right now, this is a lot of that isolating energy that we saw coming through yesterday, rising back today. Feminine energy is really utilizing this care degree of going into a point of solitude at this moment, particularly around situations and circumstances where they don't necessarily identify consistent, clear, continual communication or planning, but they're maintaining a level of positivity as they do so, because feminine energy is initiating a lot of these changes on the internal level at this time. This is a lot of internal work that feminine is doing for themselves at this moment. Why is feminine doing this right now? Because feminine doesn't want to be in a space where they feel like they have to lean on the masculine energy too much, recognizing the fact that neither do they want to do that at this moment that we're seeing with this star energy, nor do they feel like the masculine energy is in a space or place where that would be even potentially practically possible at this point. But feminine energy is effectively just like acknowledging these points and spaces, accepting things as they are, and allowing themselves to move forward from this point, coming into better alignment with the self. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card in combination with our King of Pentacles energy. So, really recognizing right now spaces or places, maintaining a positive outlook or working very hard to maintain an optimistic outlook as you proceed forward from this point. This is going to be a lot of the challenging work that masculine is doing at this time, because masculine energy is feeling some level or degree of instability at this moment. They're potentially even trying to get some feeling of optimism at this time from the feminine energy that is around them, that they may be feeling is at a little bit of a distance right now, because the feminine energy is very much in them or their own selves right now. While for feminine energy, this is feminine energy just coming into a sense of higher empowerment at this time. We saw this coming through yesterday for feminine as well, with that high priestess energy rising to the surface. Feminine energy right now is really calling back their energy to a certain degree, moving with a lot of care or a lot of consideration into laying new foundations for themselves at this moment with a deeper sense of spiritual alignment, focusing on their own ability to feel like they can be their most authentic, vulnerable self at this time. Feminine energy is giving themselves support at this moment by embodying that for themselves, even in the face of some masculine energy that they feel isn't necessarily as present or able to create that level or degree of stability for them at this moment. For masculine and feminine energy working in partnership at this time, this is going to be a lot of that working to utilize that together to keep oneself sense of positivity, with masculine leaning on the feminine, while for masculine and feminine not in partnership right now, this is trying to remain positive in the face of circumstances that are creating challenges, particularly in the realms of communication and laying new foundations. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. Feminine and masculine energy are reflecting themselves at this time, because we saw the fact that yesterday masculine energy was in their King of Cups in its reversal. So this has to do with that feeling of emotional overwhelm at this time. Feminine energy is working very hard right now to maintain positivity through difficult circumstances, all for the sake of not necessarily coming into a space or place of emotional overwhelm. Feminine energy is effectively using their own sense of positivity right now as a navigation point to help them through these hurdles at this time, with a lot of sensitivity in not allowing themselves to come into a state of emotional overwhelm. But we're seeing that this is the challenge right now for the feminine energy that's experiencing this, because we are seeing it's not the fact that the feminine energy isn't going through some circumstances and situations that feel like they're creating some level or degree of difficulty, or that they are taxing and trying them on an emotional level right now. Feminine energy is effectively holding that in to a certain extent. They're navigating it from the center, from their own center. They're coming back into alignment to help navigate this energy. And that's what's allowing the feminine to be positive at this time, because this could even be a speaking towards the fact that the feminine feels like they are successfully learning how to do this work, that this is something that is a continual process for the feminine, but one that requires almost incremental realignment or readjustment at this time. So for the feminine energy right now, this is some of that moment. But we're also seeing that one of the challenges and hurdles that's coming through for feminine at this moment is effectively feeling like there may be something that is very hard to emotionally communicate to the masculine energy at this time. This is some of that challenging space that we're going to be seeing in partnership today. Why is that? Well, look where we find the masculine and feminine energy at this time. Feminine energy is putting a lot of care and consideration into themselves and their own alignment right now, really trying to focus on maintaining that point of alignment through challenging circumstances as it relates to plans, communication, and productivity. Feminine energy is effectively pulling back from their emotional center right now from the masculine energy. This is a lot of that work that we saw yesterday with the feminine energy going into their energy at this moment is in a space where they themselves may feel like they are at a bit of a distance from the emotional center of the feminine at this time. And that is because the feminine center is focusing on their own ability and degree to maintain a point of balance through challenging circumstances and situations. While for masculine energy right now, this is a moment that they themselves are feeling some of this instability, but they're also effectively working right now to help mitigate feminine energy that feels some of this anxiety or emotional overwhelm right now in terms of opening up to the masculine energy. For feminine and masculine energy right now, this is the work that they both need from themselves at this moment. Feminine needs to effectively come in and help the masculine energy feel more stable and supported at this time. Masculine, because masculine isn't seeing the emotionality from the feminine that is helping them feel that ballast. Masculine, for their part, is feeling a point of insecurity or instability, and that is having some kind of impact on the feminine. The feminine doesn't want to put their emotionality on masculine energy when they find themselves at that point, but masculine energy could be feeling like some of this lack of emotionality here could be the source of some of the feelings of instability that they're currently experiencing at this time. Now let's see if we can continue to get some clarity on these cards right now. Clarification between our Justice card in its reversal in combination with our Fool card in its reversal. So a lot of care and consideration that is coming through right now as it relates to maintaining a sense of balance. There could be some feelings today about experiencing or recognizing imbalances, things that don't feel like they are even or things that don't feel like they are fair. That is what is requiring some of this new groundwork to be laid at this time, all for coming into a deeper sense of balance at this time. But it is a work in progress. It is taking time. It is taking effort. It is taking caution, even as you proceed forward from this point. We see here these are points of trepidation, potentially learning how to do something while also learning and navigating from a lot of experiences from the past, so you don't fall into the same pitfalls and difficulties at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Wands. And we love this because, again, even through some of the setbacks or hurdles or difficulties that you're having right now, we're really seeing that masculine and feminine energy are putting a lot of care and consideration through pushing through some of those communication and planning hurdles right now. There is a lot of practical application that is being committed right now to those spaces and places, all to create a better sense of alignment going forward. And we are recognizing and seeing that for both masculine and feminine energy today, this is leading to a lot of productive solutions and outcome, feeling some sense of overarching victory or feeling like you are reaching some point of inclement success, recognizing this. And what we love about this right now is even through these challenges, masculine and feminine are keeping that long view approach in terms of the greater victories, the greater points of celebration that they're moving into at this time. It is taking slow work. This is work by degrees. Yesterday we saw almost no movement given the fact that we saw the Lovers card in combination with that Ace of Wands and its transverse. But what we appreciate about it at this time is that with both masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of care and consideration that is being paid into what that path forward looks like at this moment, all for the sake of coming into this point of mutual victory. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment, this is that recognizing that mutual assessment and work that you're doing at this time as you navigate these experiences and circumstances, all to come into a state or place of greater victory. While for the masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnership at this time, this is that moment of navigating these spaces and places for yourself at this moment. Keeping your focus right now on your long-term goals, your long-term victories, that 10 of Cups that we received yesterday. Recognizing effectively that spaces and places that cannot provide that clear, consistent communication or planning are probably not necessarily for you or require some point of readjustment or reconsideration at this time. We like the fact that for both of those energies, you're not letting yourself get too bogged down in this right now, but focusing on the new immediate wins that you can achieve from having this understanding, that clarity coming into play over the last few days. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Star card. So for masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of care and consideration to be paid right now to the path forward. Masculine energy, we're seeing that there is feminine energy that you are recognizing is in their star power right now. You are potentially trying to move towards this energy, but doing so very cautiously, doing so with a lot of care or a lot of degree of care, having you utilize some of the experiences from the past to help navigate you forward from this point. But what we're really recognizing here for you masculine is that you are recognizing that you are trying to work to overcome any of the communications that you're experiencing. Recognizing that this is a space or place where you're trying to keep the feminine energy in this aspect of allowing themselves to feel like they can be their most full, authentic expression of self around you at this time. Recognizing that this is something that the feminine energy is truly seeking at this moment is helping you adapt and make the changes that you need to build for more productive connections going forward from this point. While for feminine right now, this is a moment that, again, you yourself are embodying a lot of this energy. You are doing a lot of this work in learning to navigate your own emotional landscape, not letting yourself come into any space or place of emotional overwhelm. Why? Because it takes you out of your star energy. Because you're recognizing that when you're in a state of emotional overwhelm, it's probably giving indications of spaces or places that you probably shouldn't be in, because they're not necessarily supporting you, because they're typically potentially brought about by unstable masculine energy. And in this way, shape, and degree, feminine energy is navigating forward with a lot of care and determination at this time to try to assess the spaces or places where they feel they can be their most authentic, open, vulnerable sense of self, but doing so with a lot of care and degree and caution in terms of where they do that. Now, continuing to get clarification on these two cards, we have Seven of Wands in its reversal. What are we talking about right now with this sense of easement? Wanting to come into a place of easement, wanting to go into spaces and places that you do not feel are going to create more challenges for you at this moment. Feminine energy is moving right now with a lot of intentionality, a lot of slowness. I will point out a lot of slowness at this time, but with a lot of consistent care and consideration, almost like a methodicalness to the feminine energy's practices right now in terms of working to navigate and be in spaces or places where they feel that they are safe, seen, supported, their most authentic expression of self at this time. Feeling this feeling is allowing a point of easement at this moment that is helping feminine continue forward on their journey at this time. This is the aspirational point that the feminine is working through right now, or working to maintain, even in the sense of spaces or places that may be proving emotionally challenging or difficult for this moment. While for masculine right now, this is a lot of work that you're effectively doing right now to effectively try to create a safe space for the feminine energy if you are in alignment with them. Because what you are really identifying right now is there is this energy of feminine that is in a way of space or the place that they need to feel like they can be their most full, authentic, vulnerable expression of self. But you are also recognizing that there may have been some communication hurdles or challenges that have made it difficult for the feminine energy to do so at this time. That when there are communication blockages or hurdles or challenges, it puts feminine in a space or place of emotional overwhelm. Hence, we see here that you are taking those trepidatious steps forward as well right now towards feminine energy to try to show them that you are understanding the changes that must be made and coming into a point of easement, potentially even trying to navigate and clarify to the feminine energy that you support them in this modality, in this ability to be their most authentic, vulnerable expression of self, while at the same time recognizing that you are trying to facilitate a point of easement for them to be able to do so. That's what we're seeing right now for the masculine energy working in union with feminine. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this could be a moment that you are feeling like you are trying to convince a feminine energy that this is the case, that you are not going to effectively make things more difficult for the feminine energy, but that you are coming from a place of greater easement. But that may take a little bit of convincing at this time, because we see here that this is a bit of a hard road that you're having to walk at this time, specifically because of some of the communication hurdles that may now be present or existent between you both right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our star energy in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. For feminine energy, there's a lot of polarity today. Just be warned, you may hit some triggers today, especially on the emotional capacity or the emotional perspective, because what we're really seeing and identifying right now is feminine energy. This is some of that imbalance that we see that the feminine energy is trying to navigate right now. That imbalance for the feminine energy is coming from within their own selves at this moment, because feminine energy is navigating a lot of emotionality at this time. It is hard to hold that space for the emotions that are coming through at this time. Some of them could even potentially be triggered right now by some masculine energy not coming forward in a way that feels as stable as you might ideally desire at this time. But what we're really identifying and seeing at this moment is feminine is doing a lot of work at this moment to navigate between that space of being having some sense of emotional overwhelm, but also not allowing that emotional overwhelm to pull you out of a space or place of being your most authentic expression of self. This is going to be a real challenge point for feminine energy today, because feminine energy is effectively going to be trying to navigate right now their own sense of vulnerability in the wake of some of the over emotionality that they're currently experiencing right now. This is going to be a little bit of a hot area for feminine at this moment, because something about the emotional articulation point wants to pull them out of being vulnerably open, vulnerably expressive at this time. This is that struggle point that the feminine energy is doing some of that internal work on at this moment to navigate where they're going to be able to find this balance point, both within and whether they're going to find that support from without. Even for the feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this could have to deal with a lot of communication that you're putting towards masculine energy at this time to help them articulate or help them understand exactly how you are feeling at this moment. While for the masculine energy right now, this is feeling like a real challenge point, because we see here that you are laying new groundwork at this time. You are working to lay some of this new groundwork. You are feeling optimistic even in the face of some blockages and challenges, because this is feeling like a bit more of a learning experience that you're having with the feminine energy. If you're doing this well, masculine, then you are recognizing the fact that the feminine energy is effectively caught right now in a moment of uncertainty. That what you're really seeing right now from a feminine energy that isn't necessarily as consistent or communicative as you would ideally like at this time, it is because feminine energy is vacillating between these 2 points at this moment in terms of feeling some sense of emotional overwhelm, but also wanting to be very authentic and vulnerable with you at this time. But that could be leading to spaces or places where the feminine energy comes across as overly emotional, as difficult to discuss, to talk to. Having some of that struggle point with the feminine energy right now is what you're trying to do, because what you're really trying to navigate right now is helping the feminine energy understand that they are safe, seen, and supported at this time. While for the masculine energy that is not necessarily in partnership with feminine energy, because this is going to be happening even for the masculine energy that's in partnership at this time, because feminine energy is effectively potentially going to be explaining something about the masculine energy's abilities or degrees right now that is making them feel a little less stable than they would ideally desire. But that's a difficult conversation that we're seeing that is happening. For the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is the hurdle. This is the challenge. Feminine energy is going through some communication hurdles or setbacks because they're pulling back their own energy. They're going in effectively into hermit mode. They're moving into this space or place where they're really seeking out that understanding of the self at this moment, working through anything that feels like it is somewhat emotionally overwhelming, trying to alchemize that, trying to channel that into something that feels instead more authentic and expressive. This could even be moving this into a lot of creative work for the feminine right now. I need to express that for the feminine energy today that works in the creative spaces, this could be feeling like a lot of channeling of that emotional overwhelm energy into productive, creative aspects, something that feels more beautiful than what you are effectively feeling at this time. While for masculine energy that's not in partnership, though, this is a bit of that hurdle or challenge because there is something about this energy that effectively feels like it's put up a bit of a wall to you right now, because while that energy is operating a space or place where you may have a lot of orientation toward them or you're gravitating towards them a lot, we see the fact that there is this point of emotional overwhelm or emotional distance from them that is creating some of this challenge and difficulty. We see that you're navigating the fact that some of the communication problems or the planning problems between you and this energy is where you are experiencing some of these difficulties or hurdles at this time. At the same time, though, you yourself are experiencing some feelings of instability around how this is making you feel. So this is why we see that we have to be very cautious and careful right now in how we are communicating with each other, because we're seeing that both masculine and feminine at the moment are going through a bit of a detriment point that could effectively trigger each other, which is why you need to keep a positive outcome today as you navigate some of these communication or planning hurdles. For feminine, this is a lot more of that internal work. And we're seeing that, again, you're keeping the masculine energy at a point of a bit of a distance right now as you're trying to navigate how you're feeling around some circumstances and situations that feel like they are a bit overwhelming. Feminine energy isn't necessarily pushing the masculine energy away at this time. Feminine energy is effectively saying to the masculine energy, give me a minute. Like, give me a minute. This is a lot. There's a lot to deal with here. Feminine's going through a bit of emotional overwhelm, and that's why we see some of this distance here, which is why this is coming through as a bit more of the positivity that we want to see in this, even while there is this blockage. Now, let's continue to get clarification on these cards right now. Clarification between these two cards right now is, I will also point out for some of the masculine, this is more than one feminine energy. I do need to stress this. For some of the masculine energy right now, this is a single feminine energy that is navigating both of these spaces unilaterally at the same time. For some of the other masculine energy that's looking at building new foundations around feminine right now, this could be more than one feminine energy. One that's in a state of emotional overwhelm and one that you've got a lot of gravity and attention towards right now. Just bearing that in mind as well. All right, but clarification between these 2 points right now is, we've got coming through here right now, the truth shall set you free. This is the second time we have received this card in this position this week. Okay? Clarity, truth, honesty is going to solve all of these circumstances and situations. What's got feminine in such a tizzy right now? What's got feminine in terms of navigating this space that feels like at times it feels emotionally overwhelming, while at times, and they're trying to alchemize it into something positive at this moment. Because feminine energy is trying to get to the heart of something. They're trying to deeply understand something at this moment. This is that internal work that feminine is doing right now through that hermit energy. This is also potentially speaking to some of that degree or ability of the feminine right now, potentially channeling this into something that feels like it is productive from a creative level if they're doing this on the internal end for themselves at this moment, because they're trying to get to the deeper understanding or the deeper truth of what they are feeling or what is occurring around them at this time, specifically as it potentially relates to masculine energy at this moment. Because what we're really identifying is, again, feminine energy is looking towards masculine energy and trying to understand and determine if masculine energy is coming through as a point of stability, or if they're creating more instability for the feminine at this time. There are definitely some communication blockages as it relates to what's going on or what the path ahead is at this time. Feminine energy is seeking deeper understanding. Feminine energy doesn't want to effectively open themselves up or is able to open themselves up to such a degree unless they feel like they have this clarity, unless they feel like they have this understanding, unless they feel like this is forthright and coming at this time. Feminine energy is maintaining a positive perspective on this at this moment, because feminine energy is doing a lot of this work of the self right now to get to the bottom of some things in terms of their own experiences right now, even while they're feeling like they're keeping some masculine energy at a distance. This is some of that like please hold energy that we've been seeing with the feminine over the last few days. That's why we saw that Lover's energy in combination with our wand, the Ace of Wands, and its reversal. Feminine energy is taking some time for themselves at this moment to try to get to a deeper level of understanding, to try to find this point of clarity, both from their internal selves right now, from within, but also from without. And particularly as it relates to any masculine energy around them right now that they may be feeling is coming through as less than feeling like it's coming from a place of stability. Masculine energy right now, you are simultaneously also doing this work. But what's very interesting about this is a lot of this has to do with you trying to get clarity in terms of specifically the feminine energy. Masculine energy, you're effectively going inwards right now to try to address or change something as it relates to your ability to communicate, your ability to plan, to overcome hurdles right now with feminine energy. That you are recognizing and identifying that there are some blockages around right now. That feminine energy is in a space or place right now that they may be feeling like they are emotionally distanced from you or overly emotional. But also that there's a lot of gravitation point that you're feeling towards this energy. And this is why you're trying to understand it more. You're trying to understand what has the feminine energy at this point or space of emotional distance at this time. Really trying to get to the heart of the matter. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, if you're working in partnership right now with feminine, if you are in partnership, there's going to be a lot of clarifying conversations that are coming through right now. A lot of these points of building points of deeper clarification through conversation, through understanding, through the articulation on what you are feeling. For masculine, this could be a lot of discussing your own feelings of instability at this moment around the current experiences or situations. For feminine, this could be talking about your own sense of emotional overwhelm at this time that is making it hard to connect with the masculine on the level or degree that you would ideally desire at this point. Communication is key right now, but most importantly, also identifying any of the blockages in terms of understanding where these hurdles are coming from at this moment so that you can move forward with a sense of greater easement. Now, I will point out, for some of the masculine energy right now that is not in partnership, there's a bit of a deviation of the path that's happening here, because what we're really seeing is this isn't necessarily a single manifestation of feminine. That this is you effectively trying to lay new groundwork with feminine energy and trying to get to the heart or the bottom of how you feel around some of this energy, because we're seeing here that there may be some different feminine energy around you right now. One that's at a bit of an emotional distance. One that just feels like it is distant in general because of the way that they carry or conduct themselves at this moment. And this is that moment that you're trying to get clarification on where you stand with this energy so that you can figure out a path forward. But you're maintaining a positive outlook as you do so. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is trying to overcome the hurdle that is blocking the feminine energy from being as vulnerable and open as you would ideally desire them to, because you're recognizing that there's an emotional hurdle that needs to be navigated, and that's going to be coming through with clarity. Depending on how much clarity you can provide, depends on how much that emotional overwhelm. There could also be some anxieties here I will also put into play around this, about the fact that some of the masculine energy right now, you may be feeling, this may be where some of this instability is coming from. Because I need to point out right now that for some of the masculine energy here too, one of the challenges is the fact that you're recognizing that you are feeling at a point of instability with feminine energy. And that you are also recognizing that you need to be honest with that feminine energy, but you are worried that your honesty may bring the feminine energy into a state or place of emotional overwhelm. This is potentially weighing for masculine energy right now, whether the truth that you're bringing into a situation is going to allow the feminine energy to kind of rise through it, rise up into it, giving them that option to do so. Or if you're worried, it's just going to lead to a point of emotional conflict, or the emotional energy coming into the feminine energy coming into a point of emotional overwhelm. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Wands in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. So navigating any spaces or places right now, trying to come into a point of victory, but also into a point of easement. We love seeing these cards in combination with each other right now, because this is all about finding a more easy, productive path forward right now, helping to utilize and understand what that path looks like. Mutual work on both sides of masculine and feminine energy right now to really identify how to make that path forward easier, to allow for mutual shared victory. For the masculine and feminine energy that is working in partnership right now, this is going to have to deal with a lot of difficult conversations or a lot of hurdles that need to be addressed. Experiencing some setbacks right now, but utilizing them to really find the point of positivity, finding the point of productivity, utilizing even the challenges right now to allow for a greater sense of victory going forward. This is really like mining those difficult situations and recognizing that even in the midst of a difficult situation, there is something positive and productive that can be learned, that can be built upon, that can be grown at this moment. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership, this is mutual work that is being done right now to try to assess for any feelings of imbalance, to allow for a more productive path going forward. And there is something here about coming into a state of easement today, allowing that state of easement to prevail, recognizing that finding that state of easement is what is going to allow for that ease, that positivity. It's going to allow for that productivity as you go forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. So there is something that's very important that needs to be paid right now to where the masculine energy finds themselves at this moment, because there is something that is coming about right now in the masculine energy having to articulate or provide their own limitations as it relates to what they can provide at this time versus what they can't provide. Now for masculine energy right now, this is that moment of coming into self-awareness to a certain extent, because we're seeing here for masculine energy, we've got double king energy. We got double pentacle energy in its reversal right now. There is a feeling right now of instability that is effectively rising to the surface right now around masculine energy. And a lot of it has to do with masculine energy's own doubts or fears at this time in terms of their own feelings of stability at this moment. Masculine energy could even be feeling at this time that they're feeling at a point where they're not necessarily feeling they have that full ability or to come forward in the way that they would ideally desire at this point. The masculine energy, more than anything at this time, is really navigating this space internally at this moment. Recognizing right now, again, this is either feeling for the masculine energy right now that something that you are pro-offering is being held to a certain degree, or something that, that you yourself are waiting on to build this level of security or stability isn't coming towards you at the speed and capacity that you would ideally desire at this point. Masculine energy is struggling with this a lot right now. And we're seeing that that is what is coming through right now as it relates to their own feelings of instability at this time. What is some of this that's coming through right now? Well, for feminine, this is that honesty. This is that clarity. This is that truth, that level of truth that needs to be brought to the surface right now. Masculine energy may be feeling very limited or blocked in this capacity in order to do so. There's something about having to pro-offer this to this degree that makes the masculine energy feel somewhat unstable. But what we appreciate about this from the masculine energy is there is a point that you are recognizing this in your own self right now. You are recognizing that this is a trigger point for you, this ability to come forth in this open way. You're working to navigate it even as it is a challenge point, because you are recognizing that there is a state of easement. There's also a recognition point to a certain extent, masculine, that there's some kind of truth that needs to be brought to bear here in order for the things that you're trying to build something more stable on right now coming forward in the way that you would ideally desire at this moment. We're seeing really here masculine energy. You are looking for that point of easement, but it is requiring some kind of adjustment or change of approach, if you will. While for feminine energy right now, this is that moment that we're seeing a lot of that isolating energy that we were identifying and articulating in the cards over the last few days. Feminine energy is effectively working in a space or place where they're really feeling to a certain degree, where they don't necessarily need to feel like they want to have to support, like be in a space where they need to be supported by anyone at this time. Feminine energy is coming into a space where they're really challenging their own selves at this moment to come into a point of easement, to really kind of be able to be in this capacity of degree of maintaining their own sense of emotional balance, even through difficult situations and circumstances at this time. Feminine energy is effectively making it clear to masculine energy that the thing that they want is clarity. The thing that they want is openness. The thing that they want is truth. That is the what the feminine needs right now in order to feel safe, seen, supported at this moment. And for masculine energy right now, there's, I think, a point of mutual victory, because this is a point for feminine right now where feminine is kind of, again, moving through right now in helping to articulate to masculine energy what it is that they want going forward versus what it is that they don't want. What it is that they don't want because they feel like it may create a sense or space of imbalance at this time. This is how feminine energy is effectively correcting for any feelings of imbalance right now around the masculine energy. This is either coming through right now with the masculine energy that they have waited on to effectively offer something tangible at this moment, and they have not received it. And feminine energy is okay with that. They're coming into a space of understanding. That is the point of easement, with the feminine recognizing that and understanding it. That is almost the victory point for feminine, because it's giving feminine that clarity that they were effectively looking for at this time. While for the other part of the feminine, the masculine and feminine collective right now, this could be doing a lot of work right now, even in partnership at this moment, to discuss what is realistic in terms of the path going forward versus what is not realistic. Some of those difficult conversations, what we're even seeing right now, even in partnership right now, there could be feelings that masculine is having around some present limitations right now that are creating a point of recalibration that is necessary and being brought up. These are hard conversations that are being had, but also with the best intentions to find a point of greater easement as you go forward from this point. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Seven of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Moon card energy. Really trying to get to the heart of the matter right now. Really trying to uncover the truth around things. Coming into a space or place, mutual desire for both masculine and feminine energy right now. Not only to understand things to the full degree and capacity that you can right now, but also to do so to move forward. And for a lot of the energy right now, this is a lot of that insight coming in today. That's a lot of that clarity coming in that we saw was desired or recognized a few days ago, that is allowing things to be easier. That clarity is coming through to make things easier. This is either a personal sense of clarity on things that you yourself are manifesting in your own head right now with some of this hermit energy in its upright, that internal work that you're doing. Or it's tangible clarity. You're getting clarity from others right now that is helping things be easier as you proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is that feeling of easement that we are seeing, moving into spaces and places that are going to allow you a point of deeper easement. We're seeing that there's a lot of unsettled energy coming to the surface right now as it relates to points of discomfort. Masculine and feminine energy right now are going to be airing some of their feelings of discomfort at this time is what we're really seeing. For feminine right now, like again, there's been a lot of care and consideration that's effectively being paid right now to circumstances and situations. This also has a lot to do with feminine's immediate environment. Feminine energy could be being very honest right now about some difficulties or hurdles that they're experiencing in their immediate environment, potentially if they are in partnership with masculine energy, to help come into a state of better easement. There's something that's very situational or circumstantial right now that's happening for the feminine that requires some level or ability or degree of truth coming to the surface. While for masculine right now, this is also a point of recognizing what can be fixed and what can be repaired at this time. Because what we're really seeing that for the masculine energy at this point, this is also some truth coming into bear, some insight, some clarity, some understanding. It is recognizing right now spaces and places that are allowing some degree of easement versus some energy or situations or circumstances that feel like they're coming through from an unsettled place. This is really trying to, like, a lot of care and attention right now on immediate changes that can be navigated to allow for a state of easement. Even a lot of care and consideration on your immediate forward in this direction and in this capacity. Masculine and feminine, there's a lot of concentration and care that's being centered on this right now. But it is also articulating on a greater level of dis-ease that you're feeling right now as it relates to where you find yourself at this moment. This is some of that difficult conversation energy that we see is effectively rising to the surface right now that needs to be navigated. And it's all coming from a sense of deeper understanding. Now, final two cards for today's spread between our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal and our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. This is some of that unsettled energy that we've been seeing. This is some of the blockage that we've been seeing, because what we're really identifying at this moment right now is for masculine energy, a lot of this is going into the internal right now. The masculine energy, you're feeling a lot of sense of instability at this moment, and you're potentially directing a lot of that feeling of instability on the practical environment that is around you at this time. Navigating and looking at these spaces and places that you are identifying and articulating are creating this level or degree of unease around you at this time. But also, this could be feeling like a point of frustration for the masculine, because this is potentially articulating on something that feels uncomfortable for you at this moment, but that you're not necessarily sure how to remedy. You're not necessarily sure what to remedy here. There's a bit of a limitation factor that's coming into play here. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this could also be articulating at this point some level or degree of inability to correct for something here. That's some of that truthfulness that's coming in right now that needs to be taken into consideration. While for the feminine energy right now, this is that moment of feeling some sense of frustration or dis-ease at this time. You are putting a lot of care and attention towards the masculine energy that's around you at this time to really assess and understand if you feel like they're coming from a space or place where you feel like they are supportive, where they are lending this ability of support or easement for you at this time, or if they are just increasing your own level of frustration and dis-ease at this moment. This is that moment for feminine that this is a lot of that internal truth that is coming to the surface right now. But again, what we appreciate about this is a problem. This is a hurdle. And there is outwards discussion on how to find that point of solution. That's what we really appreciate. And it will feel a little bit more destabilizing for the masculine energy right now, because what we're really identifying is there's something around this right now that allows the masculine energy to a certain degree to feel like very insecure in some moments right now as it relates to their own ability to adjust or accommodate for this, especially on their own. So this will be a bit easier for the feminine masculine energy that is in partnership at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love this. We've got here our Nine of Cups. We've got here our Nine of Cups. And what we really like about this energy right now, These are problems rising up to the surface that are basically like, I can fix that. Like, we can fix that. We can fix this. So for the masculine and feminine energy that is working in partnership right now, this is a lot of that unpacking, right? This is a lot of that unpacking that's happening today. And it could be a lot of difficult conversations that are effectively being reached right now in terms of articulating what is creating any feelings of disrest or unrest or insecurity, especially for the masculine energy right now. Right? Because what we're really identifying for the masculine energy right now is this point of recognizing that you're feeling somewhat unstable right now, potentially as it relates to the feminine, feeling emotionally a bit unstable right now. But in the masculine and feminine energies that are working in union right now, there's a lot of openness in terms of how you're feeling. There could even be a lot of observations on things that you need to continue to change in your immediate environment to come into a state or space of feeling more secure in this moment. Masculine energy right now is at a bit of a loss. We do see that right now. This is not necessarily something that the masculine energy can immediately address upon. There's something here that feels like there's almost like a practical hurdle or blockage for the masculine right now, potentially because masculine energy's got a lot on their plate right now that we're seeing around multiple sets of issues that they're currently experiencing at this time. But what we're really seeing right now is some level or degree of assurance or promise coming through to a certain extent about the fact that these are mutually shared difficulties. These are mutually shared hurdles, and that there is this ability or degree of making the best out of circumstances or situations at this time, and having that sense of peace and enjoyment in terms of what you've created between you both thus far. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is going to feel a little bit different, because what we're really identifying at this time right now is masculine energy is effectively at this moment or at this point where you are feeling a lot of care and consideration in terms of feeling somewhat unstable. You are moving or trying to move towards a feminine energy that you have a lot of gravitation towards right now, but you feel is at a point of some emotional distance from you. You are worried about articulating to them because you're worried about sending them off into a space of emotional overwhelm. But at the same time, there's some kind of articulation point that's effectively coming through right now, because you recognize that that energy needs you to be able to come clean or open up around things on some capacity and degree at this moment. They want that openness. They want that degree of it. And it's very difficult for you to come forward in this fashion. But there is some sense of security here coming through at this time. There's something here that the masculine energy, while you are feeling somewhat resistant in doing so, you are recognizing that there is a solution here if you put your cards on the table. And it may also come from the fact that you're recognizing that the feminine is already doing same. So this is something that is going to be a bit more of a challenge for the masculine to navigate today. But there is something here about something coming full circle or getting the full optics on something to help you determine how to move forward from this point. While the feminine energy right now, this is effectively the feminine energy coming into a state. How is the feminine energy navigating this state or space right now where they're feeling a bit of this emotional overwhelm, but also working from a state of vulnerability, feeling some anxieties around their current environment, also feeling some anxieties around the masculine energy around them being as stable and supportive in them, in trying to give them the clarity that they need at this time? This is feminine energy opening up about that. This is feminine energy just like coming into a space of putting their cards on the table, coming into a point of just assessing and being open and honest on where they are right now, to see and to navigate whether the masculine energy around them is going to be able to provide that level of degree of stability and security and kind, or if the masculine energy is holding back. And that is going to be the point of articulation that feminine utilizes right now to either feel a confidence in the choices that they're making for themselves at this moment versus any recognition of moving away from another masculine energy that shows some degree or capacity of not being able to do same in kind. Bottom of the deck on this reading. It's a strength training exercise. This is requiring a lot of strength today. It's taking a lot of courage. There's a lot of courage that's effectively required today. That's going to be very hard, particularly for the masculine energy today. particularly hard for the masculine energy because you're going through some feelings or spaces right now where you're feeling somewhat unstable. It's requiring you to really pull on a level of courage that is very hard to achieve because your sense of stability is somewhat shaken right now. While for feminine energy, this is again a lot of that courage that you're taking in yourself in this moment as you come into a state of deepened vulnerability, trying to be your most authentic expression of self without allowing some sense of emotional overwhelm to take over in the process. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Also, please keep in mind that if you book a private reading with me on my website, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, I would like to remind you that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way that you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for sharing this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.